Hey guys! So today I'm here to do my May wrap up. I actually had a pretty successful reading month, which I'm excited for, and I cannot wait to share with you all these fabulous books that I read. So with that, we're just going to jump right on into it and get started. The first book I read in the month of May was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book in the Throne of Glass series, and I am obsessed with it already. I cannot wait to continue on with the series. I did read the novella that was before this, and then I started on this one, and I was so anxious to pick up the second one, but I wanted to finish the other books on my TBR and kind of like space out the books so that it wasn't so far away till the last one is released in, I think, September, I want to say is when it was out, but I could be wrong. In case there's someone out there who does not know what this series is about, it is about a girl who is an assassin, and one day a prince shows up and tells her that he is choosing her to be his champion in this big battle that his father is hosting, to become like a, kind of like his father's top like security person or assassin, if you will. So basically whoever wins this competition has to work for the king for a certain amount of years before they regain their freedom in the real world, and in order to do that they have to do the king's bidding, do whatever he asks them to do, if it's killing someone, sort of thing. The main character in this series, Selena, is, as I've mentioned, chosen by the prince to be his kind of champion, and she goes through weeks and weeks of training with all these other champions, and every week they do like certain competitions, and whoever's like the weakest one gets sent away, and they either have to pretty much go back to wherever it was they came from. And Selena kind of strikes the deal that she'll only give up, I think it's like a smaller amount of time before she regains her freedom if she wins, and she's pretty much like the strongest assassin there is, and it is just so awesome. I love this series so much. I know a lot of people don't like how cocky Selena is, but I love it. Like, I love everything about this main character. I think she's amazing, and the story just kept me intrigued from like start to finish. I was constantly trying to figure out what was going on, because while she's in the castle there's something that's killing off a lot of these champions and assassins, I should say. And it's just kind of like creepy, and it's like animalistic, like something's killing them and they don't know what it is, and it's happening in the middle of the night, and it's just so like intriguing to like figure out. You've got all these storylines going around, like, is she going to make it through to the end? Is she gonna win? Is she gonna get killed by this thing? Like, what's gonna happen? And there's also a love triangle in this book. I have been asked by a few people, and I still like, I think I'm team, how do you say his name, Kale? I know there's a lot of Prince Dorian fans out there, and I can see why. He's definitely the charmer and the front runner, but I kind of like to root for the guy who's like not the obvious pick, who's kind of like in the sidelines, and I just love their chemistry so much. I'm not that I don't like Prince Dorian, because I did love his character, but I think ultimately I like her with Kale. I think that's how you say his name. I could be wrong. So yes, I don't know if I've already said this, but I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Amazing. If you have not yet started the series, go pick it up and start it ASAP. You will not regret it, especially if you like fantasy novels. After finishing my Throne of Glass book, I did want to pick up something kind of similar. I was on this like fantasy kick, and I picked up Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is another fantasy book, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it so much. I think that I would have given it a 5, but it wasn't like completely a 5 for me. I really enjoyed it. I think as the series grows, I'm going to enjoy it even more. Like, I want to get my hands on the next book like right now. The way this ends is just like, wow. I could see this becoming another favorite series of mine. I did think that the hype that surrounded this book kind of ruined that aspect for me, because I was expecting like better than Throne of Glass. I don't know, just this amazing thing, and to me, I don't know, I loved it, but it wasn't quite a 5-star rating for me. It was either like a 4 or 4.5. I keep teetering, but I'll probably give this one like a 4.5 stars actually. It was really good. I think one of the bigger things that turned it off for me was some of the chemistry and like the development with the characters. I did like the main character, but the other two like main ones that were two brothers and they were princes, I don't know, I liked them both, but at the same time I wish that characters were developed a little bit more, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm the only one that thought this, but I wish we got to see like a different side of each of them, or just like more in depth with them. I just kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but that's like kind of where I felt like it was lacking, was I just didn't feel like completely like personally tied in with a lot of these characters like I have with like Throne of Glass, let's say. Like, I felt like personally connected with like every character, and with this, like, I liked the main character, I liked her best friend, there was like just all these other ones I liked. I just didn't feel like that big connection yet with the princes, and they're like two of the main characters, so I think that's kind of what drew me off. But yes. Anyway, this one's about a girl who is born a red. And what this is this society is kind of separated for silvers and reds, and it's basically like their blood is even that color. Like reds, their blood is red. Silvers, their blood is silver, but also the silvers hold like magical abilities. Like they can do these crazy things. A lot of people I've seen compared it to like X-Men. I don't know, I guess I could say that. Like there's people like that can control like the magnetism, like draw force from that, and they have like battles, and someone can control like fire, someone can control water, like all these like different things that people can control, and it's just insane. And she basically is destined to be enrolled into the army because in this society, if you are 18 and you have not kind of like devoted yourself to a job or no one's taken you under their wing, you have to go to the army. But she is saved from that fate and ends up working at the palace as a servant. But while she is there, this unfortunate event happens, and like out of a spur of the moment, she finds out that she actually has a pretty big power. She can control electricity, which is really cool. And but the big like weird thing is that she definitely is a red, but she has these magical abilities and no one knows what that means. And so she's kind of kept at the palace for like an observation type person. And like while this is all going on, there's this competition. This part kind of reminded me of The Selection. There's like all these different novels that were like tied in that I could think of. But basically like all these princesses came and that were eligible or whatever, just like ladies that were eligible from noble houses, and they kind of showed off their powers, and whoever was like the best or the strongest got to be the next queen, and she'd be married off to the oldest, which was Cal. And then she, after this whole event happens, they decide to keep her and that she's going to be engaged to the younger prince named Maven, and they are going to give her kind of like this whole new identity and say that she is this long lost noble person and that she is a silver to kind of keep people's questioning down. People want to overtake the silvers because they just don't feel like society is necessarily fair, which it really isn't, because basically the silvers are treated like they were born on a silver platter, no pun intended, and the reds just kind of get the slums of everything. They have to go to war, they have to do all those dirty jobs, and their living conditions are worse. So of course you're going to kind of get that aspect thrown in. Oh my gosh, I could just go on and on with this book. It is so good, and the characters in this were pretty, like I said, they're all really good. I just wish I got more in depth with the princes. The queen, oh my gosh, the queen in this book is a total bitch. And there is, I guess you can say, kind of a love triangle in this book. It's kind of bound to happen with two princes, but I was actually surprised. Like on the reviews, I saw a lot of people were like totally against Cal. Like they just said he was too like cocky or whatnot, and yeah, he kind of was a little bit, but I don't know, I personally preferred Cal over Maven. I don't know if it's just me. I just really liked Cal's character. I don't know what it was. I just think that he was definitely kind of misunderstood. I think that a lot of people, like, I could see what the author is trying to portray through his character. Like, yes, he's the next king in line, and I could see why he's scared to make these drastic changes in ruling, because his father had it one way, and he just wants to do his best for his country, and where change is happening, you don't know if you're going to make a drastic change, how it's going to affect the lives of people, or if it's going to become better. So I can see his hesitation, but I don't know. I just adored that guy's character. I'm totally Team Cal. Not that I hated Maven. Like, Maven was Maven, but I was just way more drawn to Cal in this series. He just stuck out to me way more. A lot of betrayal in this book. Oh my gosh, so much betrayal that I was just like, yes! It's not horrible to say. I should not root for betrayal, but I just think it makes the storyline, like, totally twist, and it's just so good. I'm going to stop rambling about this, but yes, loved it. If you have not picked this up and you like fantasy books and that sounds like something you would like, pick it up and definitely give it a shot. Then I decided to pick up kind of more of like a contemporary type book, and this is Revenge of the Girl with a Great Personality by Elizabeth Yulberg. This was one of the books that I think I picked like a month or two ago for my TBR pick. Finally got to it, and I thought it was really cute, just a fun, lighthearted read. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. Like I said, it's just enjoyable. It didn't have like a whole lot of depth for me. Basically, it's about this girl who is living in her younger sister's shadow because her younger sister is enrolled in all these pageants and is like this beauty queen, and their mother, who is recently divorced from their father, kind of like spends all her time like devoted to the younger sister, trying to make her pretty, trying to make her win these pageants. So this older one kind of gets left out, and she kind of feels like the ugly child, I guess you can say. And one day when her and one of her best friends just kind of like jokingly say, okay, if you do this, then I'll go on a date with this person, or I'll go talk to this person, because they're trying to build up each other's confidence to go talk to these people that they've had crushes on for a long time. I loved her best friends in this book, side note. They were amazing. But he convinces her that if she goes up and flirts with one of the boys, that he will ask his crush out on, or like just go talk to his crush, which he's never done. And so it just kind of builds up to where they wanted her to have confidence by kind of like switching her look up. So one day she just comes all done up, her hair's done, her makeup's done, she kind of like has this total change in outlook, and all of a sudden all these people start noticing her. She's this pretty girl, and that's bound to have its problems, obviously. I was kind of nervous with how the message that I thought the author might try to send to people, like you'll only get noticed and become popular if you switch your look, which I'm not a fan of that message, but I also liked, that wasn't like the message. I thought that's where it was going, but really the underlying message, which I was hoping for, is yeah, all this can happen, but does it really make you happy, and is it worth the price that you have to pay ultimately with the life that you were living? Were you happier that way, or are you happier now? And it's just a lot of reevaluating. I think the humor in this book was so on point. Like, I loved the humor. This author knows how to write a funny character. I think the main character in this is one of my favorites just because she's so funny to read, and her sense of humor was awesome. So yes. And then I picked up Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins, and I gave this one a 3.5 star. I really enjoyed it. It was just kind of lacking a little something. Like, it was good, but I didn't like completely fall in love with it right away. I think I got more invested towards the end of the book. I just think the whole beginning was kind of slower building up to it. I think the plot twists in this book, though, were like, yeah. That was really weird. I really just think that the author did such a good job. I did not see those plot twists coming, like, at all, and I'm so excited. I just ordered the next 2 books, so hopefully those get here soon. I could just continue on. I think it's a great setup for the future books, and I'm really excited for that. So, really good. I just didn't really like the main guy she had a crush on through this whole book. I don't know what it was. I just wasn't completely sold with him, but basically it's about this girl who gets sent away to this place that they call Hex Hall, and the reason you get sent to this place is if you are either like a witch, there's shapeshifters like werewolves, fairies, vampires, like all these mythical creatures. You basically have to do something bad that risks exposure or someone that might kill you. And you have to do something pretty bad to get sent to this school, so it's kind of like a reforming school. And once you're in, you don't leave until you're 18. And you have to go before this council to prove that you can like live in society without ruining it. So after she does this love spell that goes horribly wrong, she lands herself in this school and is trying to adapt and does not like it right off the bat. And she kind of learns like there's a deeper like mystery going on within this school. These girls are getting attacked by something, and everyone's blaming her roommate, who's a vampire, because the girls all have like these puncture wounds in their neck. And I just think that the mystery behind that was so well done. I definitely had my theories of what it was, but I didn't really think of like that what had happened would be the outcome. So it's definitely really good. Like I said, cannot wait to finish this. This one was on my ABC challenge list, so I knocked off one of those, and cannot wait to finish this. This is probably the book that was like the most recommended for me to read from that list, so thank you everyone who recommended this to me. It was definitely good and I enjoyed it a lot. I also finished Nightblade by Garrett Robinson. This one I gave a 3 out of 5 stars to. I enjoyed it. I loved the writing. Like, his writing is very like artistic, and it's definitely like for a different time frame. I loved that. Like, I love it when you're like kind of taken into a whole different world and how they speak. I loved that aspect, and I just loved like that whole part of it, I guess. I wish there was a little bit more like going on besides her running. I'm going to do a full review on this, and I'll go way more in depth in it there, where I'm not rambling forever in this video, but it's about a girl who escapes her home and kind of runs off with this sword that's called she pretty much calls herself Nightblade, and she wants to become like this cool, I guess, like a thief or assassin type person. And she stumbles across so many things along her path to kind of find her way there, and it's just, oh my gosh. I thought like I felt so bad for this girl. I felt like I did not know who to trust in this book, because literally everyone was just like betraying everybody, and it was just crazy. Like I said, I want to do a full review on this, so I'll go way more into it there. But the only reason I just gave this a 3 out of 5 was I wish there was just a little bit more something else besides her. I just feel like most of this book was she was just running away from different people. Like, one minute she's running from this group, now this group's after her, this group's after her, and she just keeps running. And I wish that we just got to see a little bit more than like running away, I guess. I'm sure that's what will we'll get more of that in later books in the series, so I can see where he's setting it up. But yeah, I think that's all I'll say right now, because I want to do a video review just on this book, so stay tuned for that, and I will have it up. And then the last two books I finished this month were Walking Disaster and A Beautiful Wedding by Jamie Maguire. I've been dying to get to these ever since I've read Beautiful Disaster, and I loved them just as much. I mean, it's a story that I fell in love with. I'm going to go ahead and give Walking Disaster 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing I could really say negatively about this book was I just felt like it was much more of a retelling of the first book, just from Travis's point of view. I kind of wish there was a little bit more different things that were happening in it. I still enjoyed it because I love this world so much. It's one of my favorite new adult books. So I just loved it anyway, but I just kind of wish we got a little bit more. I love that at the end she did add more, like, it continued on from their main storyline, so I did appreciate that. I just wish the main story that we all grew in love with was a little, like, more tweaked. We got to see a little bit more than we did, because like I said, I kind of felt like I was just rereading A Beautiful Disaster with just a few different things thrown in, so I just kind of wish that it was a little bit more different, I guess you can say. And then I also read A Beautiful Wedding by Jamie Maguire, and I don't want to say too much about this. I mean, I'm sure the title can give that away pretty much, but it's a novella. It's very short. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. I think it's a great conclusion for Travis and Abby. It basically takes place after both of those books, I guess you can say, just kind of like what happens next for them. And I think it's the closure many of us fans that love them really needed, and I really liked it, so I give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. So that is my May wrap up. I did read 7 books, which I'm proud of myself for doing, because I didn't honestly think I'd be able to get to all of those with everything that is going on this month. Because I did have finals the first week of May, so I really didn't have much time to read the first week, and then the whole second week I was off with my friends in Disneyland. It's kind of like our annual Disney trip, and I was so excited after finals. It's like the best way just to kind of get away and clear my head. So I really didn't do any reading while I was there, and then I got home and I basically had 2 weeks left to really finish all these, and I did it, and I was proud of myself. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of any of these books, if you read them, what your thoughts and opinions were, if there sounds like something that you might want to read. And yeah, I'd love to discuss this with you, and I think that will be it. With that, I will see you guys in my next video, which should be my June TBR, so watch out for that, and I will see you guys later. Bye!